What are some of these tools? Is it chanting? Is it singing songs to God? Is it an elevation of consciousness through the chants, or is it a series of rituals? How does one elevate in Toltec, conscious-wise?
Good question, Bob. Yeah, they're very practical, and I always say that the Toltec path, this Toltec path that we're on, which was brought to us by Miguel Ruiz and other people, but Miguel Ruiz and the Four Agreements really put it into the world in a big way, that this Toltec path is a path of no rules and lots of good tools, because there's no standard by which you can judge whether you're a good Toltec or not. In many other spiritual traditions even, there are very tight parameters about how you should look, how you should dress, how you should, act, how you should respect your teacher, those kind of things. Toltec doesn't come with that baggage.
Well, are there certain inner preparations that Toltecs use? For example, it might not be important what one wears, but maybe if one wants to expand one's awareness, or one wants to be more loving, or one wants to bring the spirit through oneself and be a vehicle for this. Some paths have spiritual exercises, some paths chant, some paths do a good deed every day, whatever it takes to bring this power through us, this loving power of the universe.
Yeah. So how does Toltec do it? The best way to answer that is to back up a little bit and talk about dreaming, because this is what changed my life right here. What I learned from Miguel Ruiz and from my work in this path, 10 years with the apprenticeship with him, so I had a lot of time to get it. He was very patient with me, is that when we look at the world and think we're seeing the world, and this is in your high school physics book if you remember, what we're really seeing is the light reflected off of the world, comes into our eye, actually flips upside down, projects onto the back of our eye on these things called rods and cones, and in that place it's changed into some kind of neurological impulse that goes into our brain and creates a little virtual reality of what's out there. We cannot see what's out there. Like you and I think we're looking at each other, but really we're looking at an image of the other inside of our mind. And so the physics book took it that far. What the Toltecs gave me, and that is just the foundation of my life, is that there's channels of perception in my mind that light travels through. And by light we mean everything that our organs of perception collect: sound, touch, taste, smell, but the light is the best example. That light comes into the channels of perception, and those channels of perception are filled with stored light from the past. Things your mother said you should or shouldn't be, punishments, emotional wounding, religion, doctrines, all that kind of stuff that's in there. That's why I don't like to use the word God for life, because the word comes in through an organ of perception, goes through a channel of perception, and picks up God. And what that creates in the mind of the listener can be very different from what I'm trying to communicate from the other side of the conversation, you see, because it gets distorted. When the light picks up stored light, it distorts the incoming light. And then the little hologram virtual reality that we see in our mind is a distorted version of what's out there. And the more stored light relative to whatever's come in, the more it's distorted. So when we have guys in a bar saying, "You looking at me? Let's get outside and settle this," and somebody's going, "What are you talking about?" This is because the perception of this other person came in here, picked up all this anger, all this abuse, all this fear, all this, and just anger, poison, emotional poison that wants to get dumped and needs to be released. And so we're going into the parking lot. It has nothing to do with reality. It's so distorted. When we fall in love, we're taking in the light, the visuals from somebody, maybe what they say, how they touched us, and it's going in and picking up light. We may be afraid of it because of what's stored there. We may be desperate for it. All the different reactions. Every emotional reaction we have like that is based on how we've distorted the incoming light, sound, touch, taste, smell, from creation. Is this amazing or what?
It is amazing.
There's no emotional content in the universe. There's no emotional content. One of the examples I've been using lately is you're driving down the street and you see a dead squirrel squashed out flat, you know, and everybody's going to have a different emotional reaction to the dead squirrel. Some will say, oh my God, this is horrible, stop the car, go home, get a shoebox, come back, put it in the shoebox, have a ceremony, prayer, bury it, you know, be late for work. Somebody else might drive by and not care. Somebody else might look at it and say, ah, thank God, there's so many squirrels in this neighborhood, somebody got another one, you know. All those emotional reactions have nothing to do with the dead squirrel in the room.
I see.
They're all because when that information, which has no emotional content at all, gets processed in our channels of perception and picks up stored light, attitudes, beliefs, agreements, fears, whatever, memories, it changes it, and we have that reaction based on that. So the answer to the question, what are the Toltec tools? Most of them are devoted to cleaning the channels of perception so that when that light comes in, we're not having emotional reactions based on the past and stored light and whatever. Puppets. It feels like we're puppets of the outside world because we're having these emotional reactions to the guy that cuts us off on the freeway, to somebody that takes our parking space, somebody that tells us we're the best interviewer in the whole world, you know, whatever it is. We go up and down like a puppet because of how we're distorting and using that information. When we clear that stuff out of there, and the universe comes in, we can get clearer and clearer and clearer about perceiving it just the way it really is, which is the creation of the divine.
So it's almost like cleaning ourselves of illusion. We're sort of taking the fog and seeing through the illusion there.
Waking up, yes. Yeah. And we say when the apprentice goes from the awareness to transformation, he becomes Quetzalcoatl because he grows wings and starts moving towards being the eagle, which is the ultimate expression of that vision. The eagle flying down and just seeing what is. You see, the serpent's in there afraid. The middle animal for the master of transformation is the jaguar. The jaguar is a stalker, very good stalker. Great article in Smithsonian this month about jaguars. And they stalk in our inner mind for us. The jaguar, apprentice, stalks the channels of perception with the intent to see what's there, and if it's working against him or her, to change it, either throw it away or do 180 and put it back in with love and support. So that's the tools, and there's wonderful tools for inventorying that stuff, recapitulating it, changing it. We work a lot with the angel of death, which is one of my favorite tools of transformation. So we're talking about, in that mastery of transformation, transforming the dream so that we dream more and more clearly the truth of the spiritual essence and divine nature of creation. So that's the spiritual path, and it doesn't have to do with chanting in a foreign language that we don't understand, or that kind of, they're wearing something that they say we have to wear. It's about showing up and using these tools to clean, clean, clean. And the more we clean, the more present we become, the more at peace we become, and the more in love we become, because that's our nature.
Right. That's very interesting, Allan, really. You mentioned the angel of death. Now, why would you mention the angel of death? What does the angel of death have to do with Toltec and to making Toltec people and all of us a better person or a more spiritual being?
I'll tell you, it's one of my favorites. And we just put a video on my website at joydancer.com, and it's on YouTube too, of the Angel of Death ceremony in the pyramids at Teotihuacan that I do every year with people. So here's the deal. We say that the Angel of Death owns everything that you have, and she loaned it to you. She owns your shirt and your car and your home and your relationships and your youth and, the nice black hair that we used to have. Everything that we have is loaned to us by the Angel of Death, including our bodies, our health, and ultimately our life itself. And our work is to recognize that it's a loan and that she will take it back whenever she wants to take it back. And they say she walks right over your left shoulder, and she offers things into your life, and she takes them away. Miguel Ruiz said it's a good thing because if it wasn't for the angel of death, you'd come home and every car you ever owned would be parked in front of your house. And every relationship you'd ever been in would be waiting for you inside, you see. So it's a good thing. But you can't bargain with her about things. You've seen that. You have something, you think you have it and it's gone, or your car gets totaled, or a relationship fails. We see this as the angel of death just taking back what she's loaned us. So the lesson that she teaches is non-attachment. To not be attached to thinking that we can control these things, to control the outcomes of relationships, to keep our car free of scratches and dents in the parking lot. We can't control it because the angel of death is in charge of that. And the magic is when the apprentice really understands that and really surrenders to the angel of death, and she says, okay, we're in this deal together, she becomes the angel of life. Because when she's the angel of death, when we're afraid of losing the things we have, we're in fear all the time. When we surrender and say, okay, it's not mine, I never had it, I get it, that was an illusion, I let go of that illusion, and I embrace this truth that it comes and goes and I can't control it, then she becomes the angel of life, and we are living in the moment then. We're living in the moment without worrying about what's going to happen to things in the future and in the past, and I shouldn't have blown it. So we're in the present moment when we're not doing that.
Living in the present. Well, Allan, it's almost time for us to conclude this episode of A Different Perspective. Is there anything you'd like to add before we say goodbye to our wonderful television audience?
Wow, yes. My goal in my work and in my life is summed up on my website in one easy slogan, which is live passionately without attachment to the outcome. And it ties in beautifully to the angel of death, because she's the one that allows us or offers us that opportunity to release the outcome. And when we do, we release our fear. That's when we can live passionately with our lives, in our lives, with our friends, in everything we do, everything we aspire to, but without having fear. And when we don't have fear, our true nature arises, the one we came in with, which is love. We don't have to learn how to love, we have to learn how to quit being afraid. And then we can live passionately without attachment to the outcome.
Oh, Allan, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you, Bob.
I hope maybe you'll come back and visit again, and maybe we can continue this. It's been so interesting.
I'd love to.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for A Different Perspective. It's been such a pleasure having Allan on the show. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode of A Different Perspective, please send them to A Different Perspective, P.O. Box 1151, Santa Rosa, California, 95402, or you can send it directly to me, email, roberte@sonic.net, and I will get your message. Again, Allan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you,
Ladies and
Bob.
gentlemen, thank you for watching A Different Perspective. And, let me see. Goodbye.
Goodbye.